Hello, my name is Jeff Rolka. I want to thank you for checking out my video. One tip to help you be the best singer that you can be. It might surprise you, but it's not exactly, strictly speaking, about singing. Before I tell you though, thank you if you've chosen to subscribe. If you haven't yet, I hope you'll do so now. There are many ways to support my channel, including Patreon and affiliate links. The affiliate links, of course, cost you nothing, but they do really help the channel. Those are in the description. So the one tip, memorize your songs. Very simple. Some might say basic. I would say fundamental. But as I say that, the question that I hope comes to mind is the how and the why. Why should we do this? And how should we go about it? Well, surprise, surprise, I wasn't going to ever do a video with only one thing in it. I don't think I bet I could do it if I really had to, but I'd much rather give you a bit more in terms of your options and how you might approach this, because I do think that this is an incredibly powerful way to help you be a better singer almost immediately once you've committed the song to memory. So first and foremost, for those of you that perform, it's not an hour of music. It's 8, maybe 9 songs, depending on the changeover point for the next band. If you're on a bill with 3 or 4 bands, usually there's 15 minutes at the end of the hour where you got a changeover. So 8 songs, 5 minutes each, that's 40 minutes of music. You'll easily take up 5 minutes of fussing and faffing about on stage, so it's only 8 tunes. And it's not even 8 tunes. It's 1 tune, 1 song at a time that you're going to work on to commit these things to memory. So starting from there, we can take a much more critical look at how we might go about that. I am going to suggest to you to do it sooner than later. That instead of learning the song via rote, which is to say playing it over and over and over and over and over and over again, learn it in the form that best suits your learning needs. There are many different ways to look at learning, and I am going to grossly simplify this into 2, dominantly visual and dominantly kinesthetic, which is to say dominantly visual individuals will form a mental image of the music perhaps, or they might form a mental image of the lyric set, or they might form a mental image of the chord chart or something to that effect. Dominantly kinesthetic individuals will have a concrete memory of a tactile experience in memorizing things, or the way it feels when they're in a given section, or the way that words feel on the mouth and tongue and things like that. Generally speaking, we're always a combination of all these different elements. That's important because when you move to memorizing the piece sooner than later, you will expose the weak parts in your memorization. I would posit to you that if you worked on a song for a week and then took a stab at doing it from memory, you might surprise yourself with just how much of it you actually already have committed to memory. And that's great, but it's the problem spots that we want to really focus on. And we want to have a strategy so that they cease to be problem spots. This can take the form, in my experience, this often takes the form of one of the other modes of learning. So while I kind of err to the side of kinesthetic. In other words, I remember the feels of things and the shapes of things. When I'm playing piano and doing chord changes, I remember the sort of chord shapes and the ways that they move from one to the next. When I get into trouble, I can rely on my visual memory of looking at a page of music in order to kind of take a mental snapshot of it that I can refer to when I come to that section. When you're working on your memorization, I would advise you to do it separately from your vocal practice. Make it a different pursuit. So, and especially if you are singing and playing, then devote time to just what you are playing on your instrument. devote time to looking at the lyric sheet or looking at the lead sheet or looking at the full-blown score to the song that you are singing in order to commit that material to memory. And you might say to yourself, well, I've memorized the song. I've already done this. And I would ask you, what have you actually memorized? Have you memorized the lyrics? That is but one aspect of the song. Have you also memorized the chord changes if you're doing a pop tune and you're playing along, doing the chords and things like that? Or if you're just a vocalist, not to say you're just a vocalist, but if you're singing and you're not playing, have you memorized the notes of your melody? Or have you maybe just memorized the notes that are in that tricky spot, that maybe things were a little bit difficult or proved troublesome while you were preparing the piece? Have you memorized the rhythms so that you know rather intimately how you are going to work your way rhythmically through each section of the piece? If you are doing all of these things and you're a gigging musician who gigs regularly, or perhaps even as your source of income or a source of income, have you done a Roman numeral analysis? Most pop songs, most contemporary music is not particularly complex in the Roman numeral format. This allows for rapid transposition on the fly and also is an excellent resource for memorization of chord changes because so frequently they're very, very similar from one popular tune to the next. I memorize a lot of songs via Roman numeral analysis, and when that fails, I will remember that mental snapshot of the pictures of the chords as they were on the sheets of music. 3 last thoughts. One is sort of maybe it's more like 2.5 thoughts. The 0.5 thought is, I feel like I could go on and on and on about this because I believe that individual differences will both challenge you in those ways, but also offer you opportunities that may be specific to your learning patterns and your learning modes that you can really take advantage of to really make your memorization concrete. And I think that that benefits us so much when we are in the songs. As a vocalist, memorization is a lever to make us a better musician. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that when we memorize the song, we have so much of a better opportunity to look ahead in the music. This gives us the opportunity to anticipate what is coming in the music. If it's that high part that is sometimes so challenging, we will know about it. We can then anticipate that section physically. This will make us far more consistent, far more reliable in terms of our vocal phonation, how we're executing it, and just, in my opinion, make us that much more musical. We will know what is coming. We will be prepared. And for a vocalist, so much rests on that. It is so critically important. And there's one other really sneaky little tip that I want to include in this whole kind of oeuvre of memorization, and that is to memorize your rests. Those so frequently get overlooked. Even though I talked about rhythms and melodies, and I talked about chord changes, and I talked about Roman numeral analysis and all of these things, I must admit, I wasn't really thinking that much about the rests. Even though we're not singing, we must be prepared for the next phrase. If we do not count our rests, then we can rely on the texture of the music, and that's well and good 99% of the time. But in those moments when it doesn't work out, we can really be in a bad position. But I still suggest to you that that is only maybe 60% good, maybe 75%. Because we are still in a posture of waiting when we are listening for the accompanist or the band or whomever to then play the riff that we know as our cue to then be ready to sing. When we count our rests, we are prepared throughout the duration of that rest. So whether it's a bar or 2 or 10, we are mentally prepared. We can be physically prepared well in advance of the entrance. And this is critically important when it's above the secondo passaggio. And all of those elements, again, make a portion of that lever that amplifies our musicianship. And so what I said at the beginning here, in my opinion, turns out to in fact be the case. This isn't strictly about singing. But if we look at memorization from a part by part by part perspective, we see all the small little elements that contribute to our ability to sing well. And when we use memorization to examine them and answer to them and be responsible for them, it just makes us a better musician all the way around. So, as always, I hope this helps. I would love to hear your thoughts about this in the comments or on Twitter. My name is Jeff. Take really good care of your voices, enjoy singing, and hopefully we'll see you again. Bye.